Tasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Ena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Ena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Brunda Baneshwari Rishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktarunda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are reading from text 8 from Canto 1. First of all, happy Janmashtami to everyone. Having very feeling blessed, for this opportunity to offer some glorification from Srimad Bhagavatam. So we're reading from chapter 8, Prayers of Queen Kunti and Parshit Saved. That's the chapter we're going to cover, and the text we're going to cover is text number 9. And so here, Mother Rudra starts speaking. She says, Uttaro Vacha Pahi Pahi Mahayogin Deva Deva Jagatpate Nanyam Tad Abhayam Pashye Yatra Mrityu Parasparam. So we're going to cover 3 themes in this verse. One theme is about shelter and faith in Krishna. We hear that in a spiritual world, there is no concept of demons, but there is still a feeling of it. Whenever there is a sense that there's a demon comes, the Vrajavasis just call out to Krishna, especially Radharani, not just call out to Krishna. Actually, she goes to the tamal trees and thinking it's Krishna, she just hugs the tamal trees, seeking shelter in Krishna. And we also have pastime from Draupadi, where when she was distrobed in the assembly, she calls out for shelter to elders as in a natural way, and then she also turns to Krishna after turning to the elders. And we do have a similar theme in Bhagavad Gita. So we're going to see um, the same theme in this verse. Uttara is in problem. Actually, as we heard yesterday, she comes running, and when Krishna was about to leave, after all the battle of Kurukshetra, and then punishing of Asodama, and then performing Aswamedha yajnas through Yudhishthira Maharaj, he's trying to leave. So at that point, Uttara comes running in a rush. And when she comes, this is what she says. Pahi pahi mahayogin deva deva jagatpate nanyam tvat abhayam pashye yatra mrityu parasparam. Uttara vacha, Uttara said, Pahi pahi, protect, protect. Mahayogin, the greatest mystic. Deva deva, the worshipable of the worship. Jagatpate, O Lord of the universe. Na, not anyone else. Anyam, anyone else. Tvat, than you. Abhayam, fearlessness. Pashye, do I see. Yatra, where there is. Mrityu, death. Parasparam, in the world of duality. So that's Uttara is telling, translation goes, O Lord of Lords, Lord of the universe, you're the greatest of mystic, please protect me, for there is no one else who can save me from the clutches of death in this world of duality. This is the glory of the scriptures. We keep having this many examples in the teachings to invoke shelter-taking propensity. As I was quoting in Bhagavad Gita also, Arjuna presents 5 reasons, and finally there also he says, Karpanya dosha pada swabhava, he tells to Krishna, I'm confused about my duty and have lost all my composure because of miserly weakness. And he says, in this condition, I'm asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. And not only that, he extends his petition saying that now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered to you. Please instruct me. Sishya steham sadhiman from prapannam. A similar theme here also. Uttara is saying, protect me. There's no one else who can save me. So just to get some context to relatability, I'll read the short bit of purport from this verse from Bhagavad Gita where Arjuna is saying Karpanya dosha upata swabhavas. Prabhupada says, by nature's own way, the complete system of material activities is a source of perplexity for everyone. In every step, there is perplexity. Therefore, it behooves one to approach a bona fide spiritual master who can give one proper guidance for executing the purpose of life. All Vedic literatures advise us to approach a bona fide spiritual master to get free from the perplexities of life, which happens without our desire. They are like a forest fire that somehow blazes without being set by anyone. Prabhupada was going to tell about the duality here. He used in explanation to the parasparam in the verse, the today's verse from Bhagavatam. So this is the same thing. It just happens without anyone's desire and without set by anyone. Similarly, the world situation is such that the perplexities of life automatically appear without wanting such confusion. No one wants fire, yet it takes place, and we become perplexed. The Vedic wisdom therefore advises that in order to solve the perplexities of life and to understand the science of the solution, one must approach a spiritual master who is in the disciple succession. So, number one is one needs a spiritual master. if you really want to make any change. And he says more, a person with a bona fide spiritual master is supposed to know everything. One should not, therefore, remain in material perplexities, but should approach spiritual master. That is the purport of this book. That's what he says. So here, Uttara is having the glory of direct association of Krishna, and she is also in perplexity. And she says, "Oh Lord of Lords, Pahi Pahi, Mahayogin, is Deva Deva Jagatpate, Lord of the Lords, you're the greatest of the mystics, Mahayogin. Please protect me, Pahi Pahi, for there is no one else who can save me from the clutches of death. Nanyant Tvad Abhayam Pashye Yatra Mutyu Parasparam, from the clutches of death in this world of duality." So something I want to point out in this verse, Parasparam, you see the translation for the word purpose is the world of duality. There is also similar verse in Bhagavatam which says Parasparan Kathanam, by talking about, conversing about Krishna, it will be very beneficial, when we are interacting with the devotees. Parasparam, that's how it was translated in that verse. Here, Prabhupada translates it as world of duality. So, which means like there is duality at every step. We also hear the word dukkhalayam. Krishna says, Bhagavad Gita, this world is dukkhalayam ashashvatam. This world is an alayam of dukkha. Similarly, here parasparam means this world is a world of duality. So Prabhupada is going to explain what does it mean. Purport. This material world is a world of duality, in contrast with the oneness of the absolute realm. The world of duality is composed of matter and spirit, whereas the absolute world is complete spirit without any tinge of material qualities. In the dual world, everyone is falsely trying to become the master of the world, whereas in the absolute world, the Lord is the absolute Lord, and all others are his absolute servitors. There is no duality in the other world. In the world of duality, everyone is envious of all another. And because of this, death is inevitable due to the dual existence of matter and spirit. Basically, basically, like, proper, I always have the impression duality means, cold and heat, dualism, like cold and heat, good and bad, that kind of stuff. But Prabhupada is saying world of duality means there is a composition of matter and spirit. That's how he was explaining. And because of this, so there is a separate interest for the people. Because of that, even you don't expect the problem, it just comes very naturally. If you see Uttara here, she is just, she's just conceiving a baby. That's all she's doing. She's, not at all have anything with the, of course, she's related to the family of the Pandavas, but she's just, there. And then Aswadama just releases Brahmastra on her. That's what we're going to cover in the future verses. So even if one is sitting idle, the nature of this dual world is that, everyone is envious of all others, and because of death is inevitable, and therefore, Prabhupada says, the Lord is the only shelter of fearlessness for the surrendered soul. One cannot save himself from the cruel hands of death in the material world without having surrendered himself at the lotus feet of the Lord. Okay, so something a little bit more about the duality. It was covered in two explanations. One explanation is from a conversation of Prabhupada with some Indian man. So this is what Indian man says. So, but why? There is duality in this world. That's what he was asking. Prabhupada says there is no duality. There is one, Krishna. But you have created the duality. That is Maya. When you forgot Krishna, that is duality. When you think that there is something else other than Krishna, that is duality. So people are not coming to Krishna consciousness, that is duality. They're thinking that we can be happy without Krishna, that is duality. If they know it perfectly well that Krishna is one, and therefore my interest is with Krishna, my interest should not be different from Krishna's interest, that is oneness. Just like a family, the head is the father. So if anyone acts according to the head of the family, there is no duality. If some of the members says, no, I will act like this, then there is duality. So everyone acts according to the desire of Krishna, there is no duality, there is oneness, but we don't act. Therefore, there is duality. Therefore, duality is Maya. So that's what, when one forgets Krishna, there is duality. Specifically, the thought process of the person is that there is something else other than Krishna. And that duality leads to the future problems. So there is one more reference from the Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 28th chapter, 36th verse. The translation of the text says, whatever apparent duality is perceived in this self is simply the confusion of the mind. Indeed, such supposed duality has no basis to rest upon apart from one's own soul. Prabhupada explains in the purport, the eternal self is neither assumed nor lost, since eternal living entity is eternal reality. The word vikalpa, duality, here refers to the mistaken idea that spirit soul is partly composed of matter in the form of the gross body of certain mind. It is thus that foolish person consider the material body or mind to be an intrinsic or fundamental component of the self. In fact, the living entity is pure spirit without any tinge of matter. Consequently, the false ego, which is generated by the false identification matter, is mistaken identity imposed upon the pure spirit soul. Okay. So it's basically, there's no duality, but people create the duality. And how they create the duality is that putting confusion in the mind. Simply, this verse says, apparent duality is perceived in the self is simply the confusion of the mind. And the mind is that, mind says there's something other than Krishna. When that is there, what happens is, there is separate of interest from Krishna, and the duality comes, and then people create problem to each other, and then we just the life just continues fighting with each other in the society. So the way out is, when a problem comes, the way out is usually the defense mechanism kicks in, without having the proper knowledge, the animalistic propensical defense mechanism. When some problem comes, we also defend, and then the life keep going on, just defending each other. That's how it goes. Should we continue that, or should we follow, some higher source? Should we, what the scripture says? The scriptures say that the only way out is taking shelter of Krishna. The Lord is the only shelter of fearlessness for the sundered soul. And specifically, Uttara is very fortunate. She had this opportunity, to take shelter of Krishna directly, because Krishna was just there. He didn't leave yet. That's it. She runs to Krishna and she says, Pahi Pahi Mahayogin Deva Deva Jagatpate Nanyatvad Avayam Pashye Yatra Mrityu Parasparam. She is offering prayers. Protect me. There is no one else who can save me from the clutches of death in this world of duality. And Prabhupada clearly explains that what are our options? Our option is take shelter of scriptures and specifically take shelter of spiritual master. Having spiritual master is very important to get free from the difficulties in this world. And after having spiritual master, we should not keep staying in the difficulty. So that is theme, the primary theme, taking shelter in Krishna. Especially, I really like the mood of Uttara. She takes shelter of Krishna, and I understood that this quality is pretty important. Whether we live in this world or even after going back to Krishna also, because gopis, including Radharani, they just naturally call out to Krishna when anything comes up. So that's the main theme I want to present. To illustrate further, we can only cultivate these qualities or bless with qualities only by our spiritual masters. So I was remembering how Prabhupada, when he was coming to America, he also went through a lot of difficulty. He got heart attack, and then he came with a lot of endeavor. And finally, after reaching the shore of the Boston, only thing he could say is, Krishna, what am I going to do? What am I going to do here? How am I going to present this Krishna consciousness? And then out of deep shelter in Krishna, he composed this Markine Bhagavata Dharma prayer. So I'm just going to read the translation and wrap up. He says, Bharo Kripa Kailo Krishna. My dear Lord Krishna, you are so kind upon this useless soul, but I do not know why you have brought me here. Now you can do whatever you like with me. But I guess you have some business here. Otherwise, why would you bring me to this terrible place? Most of the population here is covered by the material modes of ignorance and passion. Absorbed in material life, they think themselves very happy and satisfied. And therefore, they have no taste for the transcendental message of Vasudeva. I do not know how they will be able to understand it. But I know for sure that your causeless message can make everything possible because you are the most expert mystic. Uttara was also saying, Pahi Pahi, Mahayogin. How will they understand the mellows of devotion service? Oh Lord, I'm simply praying for your mercy so that I'll be able to convince them about your message. All living entities have come under the control of illusory energy, so duality, right? Illusory energy by your will, and therefore, if you like, by your will, they can be released from the clutches of illusion. And he says, I wish that you may deliver them. Therefore, if you so desire their deliverance, then only they'll be able to understand your message. And then he quotes the Bhagavatam verses. He says, the words of Srimad Bhagavatam are your incarnation. And if a sober person repeatedly receives it with submissive oral reception, then he'll be able to understand your message. And then he goes on reciting those Shavanam, Shanvata Swakata Krishna, but the process of bhakti, till how the living entity gets free from the illusion and he sees himself as the master. So he says he'll become liberated from the influence of the modes of ignorance and passion, and thus all inauspicious things accumulated in the heart of the heart, in the core of the heart, will disappear. How will I make them understand this message of Krishna consciousness? I'm very unfortunate, unqualified, and most fallen. Therefore, I'm seeking your benediction so that I can conceive them, for I am powerless to do so on my own. And so on. So that's it, my offering, Prabhujis and Matajis. We need to expect duality, we need to expect problems in this world. Prabhupada is telling Parasparam, world of duality, or Krishna phrases it as Dukkhalaya. And then what do we do when we face those? The reason for those dualities is basically that misconception or confusion in the mind. specifically which is presented as there is some reality, other than Krishna. That's a big problem. That's it. When one gets into the trap, the world of duality just opens up, and then we get lost very easily. But Prabhupada is telling we should take shelter of Krishna. Krishna also tells in Bhagavad Gita, Mama Maya Duratyaya, Daivesha Gunamayi, this material world, this world of duality is my divine energy. No one can overcome it on their own. Although we try very hard, and this world encourages and teaches us to try very hard, but it doesn't work. I mean, we can try, but we need to try with proper shelter in Krishna, because only he says Mameva ye prapadyante mayametan tarantite, and here we're getting an example how it's a great danger Uttara is facing, and Krishna is going to release her. Actually, Krishna is going to do a lot of things here. How he saves her is going to be big faith building factor. Similarly, Prabhupada encourages us to take shelter of a spiritual master through him take shelter of Krishna. So we can only pray on this glorious occasion of Janmashtami that a seed of this quality of taking shelter, opposed to that defensive mentality, try to fix things on our own, or getting ourselves entangled more and more. We can only pray to Mother Rudra and our Prabhupada Naracharyas to be blessed with a drop of that quality, to be able to feelingly take shelter of Krishna. At least this one day on the Janmashtami, feelingly chant the holy name, feelingly invite Radha Shamsundar in the core of our hearts tonight. That's my small sharings. Prabhu, Matais, any sharings from your side?
Very good class, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. This is Priya. This is my humble obeisance.
Namaste.
Just wanted to appreciate doing so many services and still volunteering to read Bhagavatam. It's wonderful. May Krishna bless you.
Bhagavatam is sweet now, so we're feeling very glad. So mercy of Guru and Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji. And the devotees also.
Prabhupada took a lot of effort to give this Bhagavatam to us, and our spiritual masters also. So, yeah, very blessed. All glories to them. Persons like me having access.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Just appreciating the way you presented the duality. Generally, when I was reading like few days back, we think that heat and cold, happiness and like misery, right? So like generally that comes, they exists. The way that we react to them is based on our thing, right? Keeping Krishna or not Krishna, right? So that is the primary thing. Because of that, we feel those things. I was always thinking, does they not exist in the spiritual world, right? Heat and cold. I don't know. The way that, maybe not two extremes. So, but their dependence on Krishna is going to be there, right? So they don't.
It's concentrated there.
Yeah. So
they don't need the physical exhibition of the danger. It's just right now we are trying to cultivate. Right now it is very foreign to us. Actually, if you see, even in the previous chapter, Arjuna, the Brahmastra was released on Arjuna, and what he's doing is like he's just going and praying, offering prayers, and then Krishna talks, and then he goes circumambulates, and then only takes some action.
Yeah.
I just wonder, like, how do you do it? So for us, it is a foreign, and for them, it's just It's a opportunity. They just, the sense comes, that's all. They just go to Krishna. So, we pray for their mercy. We will be blessed with that fabulously in this lifetime.
Thank you, Prabhu. I also want to join in the chorus of appreciation. It's for Janmashtami. It's a very, very touching message that you have given. It's very wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji, for blessing.
And the background is so beautiful, Prabhu, while you are speaking. Radha Shyam Sundar.
Yeah, so I wanted, shelter, we wanted to be there. Pahi Pahi Mahayogin, Deva Deva Jagat Pate. Nanyam Tvad Abhayam Pashya. I don't have any other shelter. And Etra Mutyu Parasparam, especially in this Mrityu Parasparam. It's very nice. Prabhupada explains envious, everyone is envious of all others. And that is just inevitable. Uttara is just, she's not doing anything. Even Asudama, the killing of the children, death is just inevitable. Danger is just inevitable in so much we are in need. Okay, so I think we came to a conclusion. Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Chandana Mata is saying something? Or?
What, Prabhu?
Chandana Mata is unmuted.
Oh.
Same thing, Prabhu, appreciating the motivation to feelingly chant on Janmashtami, along with everything else that you explained. And of course, taking protection of Krishna. I mean, that's, that I remembered that in all situations.
Mm-hmm. We can really call out to Mother Uttara to send, the mercy that we
Yes.
enough, dear Srila Prabhupada.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Have a happy Janmashtami. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.